Alright, hello everyone. Today we are back with the topic of top 10 bridal makeup questions about the Indian bride having a confusion whether they should hire a makeup artist or they should do it DIY. Hello everyone, my name is Zaid and I have been helping 100 plus brides every single month decide their bridal makeup through Tarunya makeup professionals. And today I'll be helping you guys with the topic of whether you should be hiring a makeup artist or you should be whether you should be hiring whether you should be hiring a makeup artist or you should be doing it DIY. Okay. So to make sure that anyone who joins is still connected on the questions that we are going through, I'll be sharing a slide that we have prepared, and I would be in the top right corner where you can see me, and you can ask questions if you have any in the chat. Okay, so just let me check the audio and then we'll be starting. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so the audio is
Hello.
perfect, and we'll be
Okay.
starting.
So the audio is perfect and we can start. So the audio is perfect and we can start. So the audio is perfect and
Hello. Okay. So the very first question that we have up for today is DIY bridal makeup. As you can see on screen, the DIY bridal makeup really worth the cost saving compared to hiring a professional. So many brides consider having a hybrid approach, doing their own makeup. For we have to see what's currently going on these days. Okay, this is the top question that a lot of people have quite a confusion about, and I'll help you answer what would be the best fit um, on the thoughts you have. Okay. So when given this choice, majority of the brides would lean towards doing the DIY makeup. But during the calls when I asked, almost 95% of brides tell me that the only makeup experience they have when I give them three options in front of me, like do they do makeup on everyday basis, occasionally or never. For 95% of the brides, never is the answer that I've gotten. And by till date, I've talked to over 1,000 plus brides, and still 95% of brides fall into the never category. The only makeup experience they have is applying either kajal or lipstick at max. Foundation doesn't even come close to the occasional days as well. So if that's you, on the wedding day, with managing everything and all the chaos, no matter how many cousins or people you have assigned for different work or family members as such, do you think you'll be able to pull off a makeup that not only looks good in real life but also on cameras? because that where the skill comes in. When you do hire a makeup artist, they make sure that the look that you're seeing looks presentable both in the real and the real life, which is when you'll be calling videographers and photographers, because doing makeup according to that requires skill. And if this is the very first time you'll be grabbing or picking up foundation in your hand, I would highly suggest you to not play Khatro Ke Khiladi on your wedding day and go for hiring a makeup artist. Also, we'll talk more about why the DIY option seems too rosy, because you don't have to spend much amount in getting or paying a bridal makeup artist and managing them. But you know what, if you don't have, if you're using regular products, that won't be surviving. For majority of us, we have havans during our wedding, so during that you have to follow each and every single step and have to buy products and brushes accordingly, which, if you're a person who never does makeup, would be a completely waste of money, because those products would be lying around getting expired, since you wouldn't be having time to use that on a regular basis. Whereas when you are hiring a makeup artist, you get the products that might be out of your buying budget. You rent the makeup artist with the best products, with the best techniques and skill. For that day is what you pay. The charge might seem overwhelming at first, but then what's the question I really want to ask you is, what's the cost, or if you have a choice between getting the best makeup done and what would be the real cost of seeing photos with your future family after 10 to 15 years, with your husband or your kids if you want to have any, um, what would be the cost of seeing the photos and remembering or having the regret that if I would have hired a makeup artist, I would have gotten these memories uh, and made me look much better or presentable on camera. What would that cost you? A regret of lifetime. So if you are someone who does makeup quite regularly, then doing that wouldn't be much of a problem, because the concern comes is we are looking at a very short term cost of not paying the makeup artist, but along with that, you're also ignoring the fact that the photos would be staying for the rest of your life. You wouldn't be having a second marriage, uh, unless unfortunate. So this is going to be it. This is going to be your wedding album or photos if you are saving or keeping it on a digital copy as such. So if that's what's going to be, having regret for the rest of your life of not hiring a makeup artist, and you can't undo that no matter what. You won't be arranging a complete wedding again, because the cost of that is hiring at least 20 makeup artists at one single day, one single time. So it'll not be, and even much more than that for some weddings. So that's the choice you have to make. If you, between doing makeup everyday basis, so to summarize, if you're a person who does makeup on everyday basis, then there is a chance you can do it on the wedding day, although there would be a lot of stress and a lot of your relatives and families would be coming in like jaldi chalo, and in that chaos you might miss some step. But if you want to go that route, then make sure you're buying good products. And although I run a company where we provide bridal makeup services, if that's the route you want to go, definitely you can go there, but just take a few precautions that I'll tell you, which is get above average products of what you have or what you used to have previously. And make sure you're either taking the master classes or how a bridal makeup is done, not the complete course as such, but to take 2 to 3 different workshops to understand how you can do self grooming or makeup on yourself on the wedding day, because bridal makeup is a lot more different than what you do on a regular day basis, with all the steps from cleansing, toning, moisturizing to color correction, concealer, foundation. Then alongside that, you should also be doing the eye makeup and stuff. This was about the base, and picking up the right lip color, highlighter, contouring, blush, and post that powder setting. If you're doing matte makeup or dewy makeup or natural makeup or heavy makeup, there are endless combinations, and figuring out what you want to do. Make sure you're practicing at least 10 times. Yes, I'm not exaggerating. If even if you do makeup on everyday basis, you should practice your bridal makeup at least 10 times before your wedding, and then and only then go for a DIY bridal makeup. Either you pay in life with time or you pay in life with money. You can choose which one you want. Okay. So that was quite a brief discussion on the very first question. So let's move to the second one. Okay. Let me just change the slide to the second one. Will the DIY makeup last throughout all the wedding ceremonies and photography sessions? This is well connected with the questions that we had previously. So, an Indian wedding, brace yourself for this, especially for North Indian weddings, or if you're having a Marwadi wedding as such. Um, a makeup or wedding event can last somewhere from 7 hours to up to 18 hours as well. Yes, that's the length that you have to make sure. And in this number of hours, in 18 hours, you can include the 3 hours for makeup or 1 2 hours for makeup extra. But if you're having a wedding of like if you're having the whole function destined around 7 hours, it would be going 8 to 9 hours because of the delays and stuff. Also, take into account that you have to start your makeup at least 3 hours before. Even if you complete your makeup in 1.5 hour or 2 hours, you have to give 1 hour for the before you get on stage for the photographer to take some photos and videographer to take some videos. So for you, that 7 hour wedding would ultimately become somewhere around 9 to 10 hours wedding, because and in that also count the amount of energy you'll be requiring to sustain that much amount of time, because when you're planning to do DIY makeup, you have to not just do your makeup, let me remind you, not just do your makeup, hair, as well as the draping and wearing the outfit. These days you're having a good 1 to 2 kg or up to 5 kgs ka lehenga as well, which you have to wear all by yourself. You can have some friends to help you with that, but that's it. If there are some mishaps at the end of the day, only you are the person you have to handle. Only you will be the person who have to handle everything from start to end about your whole job. And there would be almost no one to help because they would be busy in other stuff as well. So coming back to the current question, which is the DIY makeup will last through wedding ceremonies. So if that's the amount of time, you have to make sure that the makeup you're doing is optimized for longevity and long lasting. That means more focus on the makeup fixers. Now there is a huge difference between setting sprays and makeup fixers. So with setting sprays, you make sure that all the layers of the makeup that you have done, the color correction, concealing, foundation, moisturizer, primer, all of these form into one single layer, which gives you a flawless skin-like finish. So that's what setting spray does. I am highlighting this that setting sprays does not equal to makeup fixers. Makeup fixers are there to lock the final look, which is post that there wouldn't be any changes. Makeup fixers, to give you an example, are Urban Decay All Nighter, L'Oreal Infallible. These are called makeup fixers. Pack, Micro Finish. These are few of the good makeup fixers. Rest of them, what you'll be getting if there is setting spray written on that. that would be just helping you in setting the makeup, which is make combining all the layers into one, not holding or locking or making sure your makeup is lasting longer. That wouldn't be done with the setting spray. So it depends on all the stuff. Apart from that, if you're having an outdoor wedding, will you be having a hall nearby? Will you be doing the makeup and traveling to a location to for the wedding? Long formulations or long wear formulations are you doing? If you're doing dewy makeup, you would require a lot of touch-ups in between. Who would be doing that? If you'll be doing, then how you'll be managing everything regarding your wedding apart from the makeup stuff? So you need to make sure all of these things, and also the photography sessions. This is the biggest hurdle you have to overcome if you're doing or thinking of DIY makeup, because how your makeup would look on, and don't try to fool yourself with just seeing how my makeup is looking in my iPhone camera. If you are those people who have iPhone, a lot of people do have that these days. But if you're getting photos in DSLR or a professional photographer or with a professional camera, the makeup looks a lot different than what you see in front of the mirror when you'll be doing. So make sure you're calling them or checking with 1 to 4 photos once you're done with the makeup before finding stepping out. So that is something which might help you with the wedding ceremonies and photography sessions. Next, we'll move on to how well my makeup look in photos and under different lighting conditions. So, with weddings being heavily photographed and under different lighting conditions, so now this adds another arc to the photos and photography. You shouldn't be just able to make sure your makeup look good in photos, but under different lightings. If you're not aware about that, there are three forms of main lighting, which are warm lights, cool lights, neutral lights. You can Google about it. And you have to make sure whatever lights come in, you have to make sure all the makeup that you have done looks um, presentable in all of these lights. And the products you'll be using to make sure that it does makes all the difference in the photos you'll be having. Makeup at first seems more of like a useless work for a lot of people, or something which is quite unimportant, like is makeup ke liye itna paisa kyun bhar raha hai? But the day you do it or try doing it with a DIY approach, you understand the difficulty and the amount of technicalities it holds. So, with my past, I come from an engineering background, and even I used to have the same thoughts as you guys have, even much more, being a boy as such. But when I started working in this industry, then I realized, working with makeup professionals, how difficult it is to make sure that the makeup you're doing, the bride is happy, the family members are happy to look in real life, they are happy with the photos, they are happy with different lighting conditions, and still making sure that the makeup lasts as long as possible with the oven complete heat and smoke coming to your face, and making sure that the makeup lasts throughout that event, and you get good photos and a good look, and you're happy around with the kind of look that is been created. Also, the very fourth question that we'll be moving for today. So, can I handle the stress and time pressure of doing my own wedding makeup? All right. So this is also a bit of a follow-up question. The stress and time pressure of perfecting your wedding day makeup is unreal. I have seen people with or makeup artists with fresher makeup artists with 1 to 2 to 3 years experience. This is what I'll keep in a fresher makeup artist category. People who have been doing the work for 3 years, they might have not done so much of wedding, but at least 10 to 15 weddings if they have done, that's the number of years or the number of weddings. Even they sometimes break down and cry after the makeup they have done, or they get a lot of backlash for the kind of makeup they have done from the bride or the family after doing 10 to 15 weddings. Yeah, right. So, and that is a person who have gone through a complete makeup training. After doing 10 to 15 weddings as well, they might end up creating some problems or mishaps. That's how difficult it is, and especially on the wedding day. And the makeup artists don't have the stress about wedding because they are not getting married. They only have the stress about makeup. And if they can do this after doing 10, 15 wedding, imagine yourself handling that with only first wedding, on the very first wedding, and you have to do it on yourself. And on top of that, you would be having multiple things, like you would be having multiple things like the wedding hall, the decoration stuff, the guest coming in, the aunties who would be walking in के मेकअप ऐसा लग रहा है ऐसा कर जल्दी कर कम कर अभी टाइम हो गया है मुहूर्त हो गया है all that stuff, handling that, all the emotions that you'll be going through. The groom would be either supportive for your makeup or would be telling कितना time लग रहा है, or your in-laws questioning that how much time she is taking in all the handling all the anger, frustration, and with all those things on top of doing makeup, hairstyle, draping. Will you be able to handle that? Is the real question you need to ask. So I'll tell you a good story with this 5 questions is what we'll be doing. We'll not be doing 10 questions because time is too far. So what if my DIY makeup attempt goes wrong and there's no backup plan? Is the fifth and the last question for the day. We'll be continuing this in part two for tomorrow or whenever we get time, like in a few days, this week itself. But yeah. So, the fear of irreversible makeup mistakes on most important day weighs heavily on the bride considering DIY. Think this as well. This is going to be the biggest day of your life. It's not like regular days where if you're not liking the makeup, you can wash your face and go off this and just walk away and no one would notice. Cameras would be capturing you. And if you have early morning, then you're not used to getting up at that particular time. So how there are if you hire a makeup artist, then they can make 10 things go wrong. If you're doing it DIY, you can make 1,000 things go wrong. Yes, I'm not exaggerating, and you'll get to know in a minute when I'll be telling you from our personal experience what happened. A professional makeup artist brings, and what if things go wrong and there's no backup plan? You have to deal with it, girl. There is nothing you can do about it because when your wedding is there and you can't call anyone and anyone would come and fix your thing because you have to do it from start and you won't be having the time. The biggest enemy you have is the time constraint, and you have just one chance to make sure that your makeup is going to look good. It's similar to competing for an Olympics race. Once the gun, if you're in an Olympic race, if the whistle blows and the time starts, there is no going back. If you didn't had the initial push, if you fall off within the first few steps, if you are left behind, there is no coming back from that. That is the very first and last time you'll be getting to run that race. So think through and thoroughly about DIY makeup. So that's all for today, but as I promised, we have story time. Okay, so there was a good bride came on 2024 somewhere in 2025 itself, during the January February time. February actually her wedding was there in January she was searching, so she came to a reference. And what happened with her is she wanted to make sure that the costs are minimal, so she was having one event before the wedding day, which was her engagement or something. I don't clearly remember. And with that, what happened is she booked us for wedding. She took a trial. She booked us for wedding, and that was done. But the real cost came in when she told us she was having another event in which she was doing the makeup by herself. And we didn't ask her to buy our service and make sure that you're doing on that day. We just gave her a few good tips because if the person wants to do that, we can't stop them. It's literally their wedding. So the we gave her a few tips to make sure that whatever her first look was also okay. So okay, all right. So she was having an event before the wedding as such, and she had done makeup all by herself. So that event happened. That day came, and it was I think 18 February. So we went there, and to our surprise, it was an intercaste marriage itself. So the wedding day happened, and when we arrived for the second makeup of the day for her and first makeup of the day for us, she literally cried in front of the makeup artist. I'm not exaggerating. She said, I should have hired and shouldn't have looked for an extra a few keys because I ruined the first event and everyone was literally telling me, "Okay, you should have hired someone." I won't be revealing the name of the bride, but she um she got suggestions from all her friends that you're not looking like a bride, you're looking just as a guest on your wedding event. So that's when she thanked us. When we got the makeup done, she was happy as a small baby when they get a chocolate. She was having a huge bright smile on her face, and there was no extent to the happiness that she had because she did the DIY makeup for the first event, and the remarks she got made her appreciate the work that makeup artists did for her. Now, we still support and still believe that if you are a person who does makeup on any day basis, you can try to get a DIY makeup for a few functions. And I believe that only if you do on everyday basis, then you can for a few functions. But I still believe you can use a hybrid approach, which would help you save some amount of money on some days if you are doing makeup on everyday basis. I am repeating that. I know it's a bit frustrating, but that's the thing I want to emphasize on. Okay, so if that's the case, then you can do it for some days, but at least leave the bride and reception for the makeup artist as such, because there is unimaginable stress that you'll be dealing. And for the people who haven't done this, they should book the makeup artist for all the events, because imagine if you were to hire this makeup artist for the very first and last time of your life for your wedding, and if you divide that cost up for the rest of the life that you have and the photos you'll be seeing, what's the point of taking good photos and videos when you'll not be looking happy in that photos with the look that you have? So that's what I'll leave you with. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye.